Good afternoon. My name is James Campbell, and I am really excited to get to be here today as part of Cinco de Trino and to talk about the Great Expectations Starburst partnership. This is something that we've been working on together for a while, and that really I think will help unlock the power of Great Expectations for more people through Starburst and the power of Starburst. And one of the really cool things that we're excited about from the Great Expectations side, namely the ability to easily run expectations across a variety of different backends that is just natively possible through the Trino connector. I'm going to talk today a little bit about Great Expectations and also how the integration works. First, just a quick note about myself. I am the co-founder of the open source data quality project, Great Expectations. I'm the CTO at Superconductive, which is the company behind Great Expectations. And throughout my whole career, I've been able to move across between a variety of different quantitative and qualitative analytic roles. That's made it really fun for me to get to see analytics from a variety of different perspectives. And that's something that really drives the project that we have going on at Great Expectations. And I think it also is something that informs what we're doing with our partnerships, including being able to support lots of people in the community engaging more deeply. So please reach out if you'd like to work with us to add new kinds of cool features like the ones that we're talking about today. First, just a little bit more about Great Expectations. We're trying to solve a very common challenge, namely, it's really hard to work with data, especially in a dynamic organization where we want things to be constantly changing, evolving, growing, getting more complicated, adding context. But as we do those things again and again, what we see is there are a lot of problems that crop up for people. That could be data pipelines going down because of missing data. It could be really important contextual knowledge that a domain expert had that gets lost when you develop a pipeline that automates a procedure. And generally speaking, it's just that over time, the cost of maintaining systems seems to grow so quickly that it becomes harder and harder to add the new capabilities that we really want to be able to build. So Great Expectations is our answer to that problem. And it's very simple. It's an open source Python library. You can go out today and just run pip install Great Expectations. And the way it works is by allowing you to create tests for your data. Tests are expectations. They are statements about what we expect about our data. And they are expressed in a standard Python language, but then that gets translated into this very general JSON language. And we can even translate it into English. And these sort of human readable formats become the basis of building documentation. And also documentation, like you can see in this example here, that is diagnostic, that can tell you when you have an expectation that isn't met. Like, for example, this is from our taxi data set. And, we say, look, we'd expect there to be between 1 and 6 passengers, but we're seeing a lot of rides recorded where there's nobody in the cab. I mentioned this notion that what we're really trying to do is make it easy to deal with complexity. And that's specifically the case for this kind of cost complexity relationship. As you deal with more and more complexity, it's easy to imagine the cost getting faster, getting larger at a faster than linear rate. What we're trying to do is bend that curve down, make it so that when we add new capabilities, we can really constrain the space that we need to look for answers, and we can share the knowledge that new team members need so that we can grow as an organization in order to deal with that kind of complexity. Now, this is something that's really excited. I'm really excited about it. It's really new statement that Don Hepner, who leads our open source platform team, has been talking about in our roadmap, and it's really relevant as we think about what we're doing with this integration. We're trying to lead a community in a way that makes Great Expectations more powerful, more expressive, And what we want to be true in the future is that, after years of development and widespread adoption, things are robust, stable, and thoroughly tested. So those are going to be some of the themes that I talk about. The first thing we're doing today in this integration is focused around making it powerful and expressive. But one of the things that we've really been doing as well as part of this work with Starburst is helping to ensure that we have good mechanisms for testing this kind of an integration. Okay, so now it's time for some of the fun stuff. It's demo time. So I've got a Jupyter notebook here where I have, I'll just clear it out, where I have set up a very simple data context that connects to Trino. And let me actually first just say how I'm doing this. I'm taking advantage of Starburst Galaxy, which is super cool. It means that I can, come in using the very simple initial setup process. I have connected to a Amazon Redshift database that hosts the New York City Taxi and Limousine Commission data that we use in a lot of our Great Expectations examples. So we're taking direct advantage of the capability to federate and provide the Trino-centric translation layer or access that can go out and touch a variety of different data sources. In this case, again, we're going to be hitting this Redshift data source on the back end. But the way we're doing that is by using our simple Starburst or Trino connection string to define a data source. And then I've configured a couple of different assets in here that correspond with the yellow trip data from the New York City Taxi and Limousine Commission. This is really all it takes to get started using Trino or Starburst with Great Expectations. By using the Trino driver and specifying that as part of our connection string, Great Expectations will be able to recognize the connection and adapt all of the all the underlying connectors appropriately. So let me restart and jump right in. So first thing I'm going to do is load up a data context. That's just this data context that we were just looking at here, where, like I mentioned, we've configured the data sources and we've configured a variety of other pieces of the Great Expectations capability, specifically the ability to generate data docs. And then I'm building a batch request to grab this yellow trip data from the Taxi and Limousine Commission. And let's go ahead and just take a look at that. So what we've done here is to connect again directly to Trino, and we can just get a quick sample of the data to understand what we have. Now, again, what we're doing, we were connecting to Starburst, which is connecting to Redshift and passing things through. Once we've done that, we can just operate exactly as we normally would with Great Expectations. You can run our expectations, check that a column exists, check column values, means, all of the operations that we need in order to define our entire data quality lifecycle are available to us directly and natively through this integration. Once these validations will finish run, and of course I pointed it at a bigger data set and we're running remotely, but once these finish running, what I'll do is save the suite, build data docs, and then also I've configured a checkpoint. In this case, the checkpoint is a really simple one, where what we're doing is basically looking at the exact same batch request. So we're looking at the kind of the most recent sample, which in this case is just going to be the current state of that of the trip data that has had all the data loaded into it. And we're just going to run the validation and then store the result into updated data docs. All right, so let's go ahead and save those docs and let's see what we got. So these are the runs I had done just a little bit ago. We can take a look at the suite that we just created. So notice in this suite, we've just added those same expectations, or we can see here the same expectations that we had just added a little bit ago. So we checked on values, being in a certain range. We looked at the mean value of the total amount column. We made a kind of a schema-oriented requirement. And then when we run the checkpoint, it will give us an overall validation result that gives the actual observed values. So we can see, yep, the total amount is indeed right in that expected range. And the year similarly always falls in the range that we expected. Okay, so how did this happen? Like I mentioned, from the perspective of being a Great Expectations user, it's very easy to take advantage of these kind of capabilities. And that largely is because of Trino's catalog concept. So what we do is recognize when you're using the Trino driver and make some small changes to the way that Great Expectations recognizes the schema as we go through that, and ensure that the metrics that are returned are appropriate for the schema. So you do need to, for example, when you're setting up your connection string, right now you need to make sure you're specifying, your cluster, your catalog, and your schema. Now, the other thing that's really neat about this is we can take advantage of recognizing that we're connecting to Trino to translate analytic capabilities directly into ways that are appropriate for the underlying system. So for example, when we're looking for quantiles, we already do some translation to ensure that we are using the appropriate function to make sure that we can get the right metrics back. But Trino allows that to be handled natively with the same expectations across different backends. Now, the next really cool thing that we've been working on is having an expectation gallery that shows how people can see, or that lets you see rather all of the expectations that are available in Great Expectations, and also see how complete they are. So you'll notice in this case, we've got some expectations that have been contributed by the community. And what we're focusing on is ensuring that as people add new capabilities, it's very quick and easy for them to be able to see the expectations being validated against different kinds of backends. So one of the cool pieces of work that we've done as part of this integration is to use the local Trino Docker container to quickly spin up an environment that you can use to dynamically test expectations as you're developing them against that backend. Really exciting. All right, that's all I wanted to talk about today. Again, I'm really excited about this and excited and grateful to get to be a part of the Cinco de Trino. And I wish everyone the rest of this day as a wonderful one. Thank you very much.